Everyone has that series of games that they sink hours upon hours into. For me and many others, that series was Pokémon, or still is Pokémon. Since 1996, when Pokémon was created, it has captured the interest of millions, perhaps even maybe over a billion. And while the history of Pokémon and all of its attention and all that other fun stuff could be a video in of itself, that's not why I'm here. My name is Poet, or Harrison if you really go back and look at all of my Pokemon saves. And today, if you'll let me, I'm going to tell you the history of me and my addiction with this game about battling little pixel creatures on a screen. And I have the unique opportunity to show you where a lot of these events, where my introduction to Pokemon and major other events with the game have taken place. You thought I meant this place? No. This is just some random park I found near my place. The real story starts a long time ago in a place pretty far away from where I am right now. One of the few very cold winters I remember, but certainly not the last. I was just 7 years old, attending a private school, playing with my friend Nick during indoor recess. He had just gotten a new game for his Game Boy, preventing him from playing action figures with me. Truly a different time. Anyways, my interest in what had my friend completely entranced got the better of me, and I decided to sit beside him. What I saw looked like a simple game, battling monsters, exploring a bigger world, overall like a little pixel game. It seemed exciting, and I was interested, but I don't know, I needed to get a feel for it. My friend, being as good of a friend as he was, picked up on that and let me borrow the game to try on my Game Boy. That game, you ask? Pokémon Ruby version.
僕たちを待っているんだろう。全く新しい冒険がここから始まる。ポケットモンスター、ルビーとサファイア。
It was addicting. He let me borrow the game for a weekend, and I felt like that weekend lasted a lifetime. I would play from a save slot in Lava Ridge Town, and I just would play in that immediate area. I was too afraid to overwrite his save file or go anywhere or do anything besides just battle the Pokemon in the grass and catch some of them. So every time I would get done playing, I would just turn the Game Boy off so it wouldn't overwrite his save file. But even just that, I was completely hooked. Well, we are here. This is my old school, and right here is where I used to play at recess. And in that hallway right there, beyond where the tree is, was where I was first introduced to it. It's where Nick gave me his Game Boy. We used to play like right along the road here. There was no chain link fence. Yeah, wow. Jeez, it's weird being back here. I remember it being a lot bigger. Because that was the case, one day while my dad and I were in Circuit City digging through the clearance bin, I found it. The game that would probably define the next couple years of my life. If Ruby sold me on the idea of trying Pokemon, Fire Red was the catalyst for me becoming a full-bore Poke fanatic. Now, every day at recess became a Pokemon day. Whether or not we were outside, it didn't matter. I watched the shows, bought the cards, wanted my name to be Ash, which, in hindsight, I'm glad I never had that happen to me. Needless to say, all of our discussions were around this franchise, and with the looming release of Diamond and Pearl, our excitement was at an all-time high. It was nice to kind of go back and just kind of observe the area I was at, where Nick and I used to talk about Diamond and Pearl long before we even knew anything about the games, really. This was in a day and age where the internet really wasn't as big as it is now. And news only got around, you know, through like Game Informers or going to the store and talking to people who knew about the games. So when we would play and battle our fake Pokemon teams out in the parking lot, we would refer to Palkia as Pearl and Dialga as Diamond because we didn't know their names. We just knew that those were the names of the game. Yeah, it's really cool being back here, but I'm gonna go ahead and probably head to the next spot because I need the air conditioning on. I'm starting to sweat my butt off right now. It was going to be our year for Pokemon, and the adventures we looked forward to in our 3rd grade year seemed endless. Until my family decided to take me out of private school. To this day, I'm not 100% sure what caused my family to pull me out. Probably the housing market crash, but yeah, we won't talk about that. That's a video for a never time. I'm never making that video. Whatever it was, Nick was gone before I managed to get my parents to buy me a DS and a copy of the new games. I was stuck preparing to go to a new school, and it was stressing me out. But as it turns out, it really wasn't all that bad. See, Pokemon kind of gave me an in at my new school. I was pretty knowledgeable about the subject, so when I started at the new school, I ended up meeting another person named Nick who played Pokemon and met a lifelong friend named Riley. Her and I and a lot of the friends I mentioned in this video have a whole history involving Pokemon that honestly all deserve their own video, but I digress. The Pokemon craze continued for years, the whole way through elementary school, being one of the only game series I played every day and every night. The kid with the DS under his pillow, that was me. When I was about 13 years old, I met some of my other good friends in high school, Nate and Jake, bonding over our shared love for all games. I don't know how well this angle is going to work, but we're going to try it. I've already recorded this, but it didn't pick up my sound. This is the soccer field where I met one of my good friends, Nate, and by him, I also met Jake, which is also another one of my really, really good friends. When I turned 13, I joined the soccer team in my high school, and I think that was about the time I started becoming, obviously, a very stupid, idiot teenager. I think every person kind of goes through that, but when I started to become a teenager, I started to, do stupid things, like put myself actively in harm's way, for fun, of course, not for any other intent, but because I was stupid. And I also started to drop things that I very much enjoyed. And I think that has a lot to do with the teen spirit that you kind of get when you hit 13. Being a teenager in the big boy school playing Pokemon wasn't cool anymore. It was all about Call of Duty and Battlefield and zombies. Although Pokemon Black and White were based off of the country I live in, the games didn't do a good job of keeping me very interested. Also, Pokemon wouldn't get me a girlfriend, and we all know how important that is, am I right, fellas? So I did what any kid in their teenage years would do. I dropped it entirely. It's really neat to come back here. I do come back here when I can, because I have very fond memories of high school. This is where a lot of the friends I still have today and I met, and where a lot of my growing up happened. What followed were years of me not touching a Nintendo product, least of all a Pokemon product. Soon everything was replaced by guns, FPS games, and memes. Dank memes. The 2016 period did its toll on me. These things all hold a very special place in my heart besides 2016's, but they all buried my love for the franchise that built up a lot of the friendships that I still have today. I just didn't realize it. So, for a long time, my Pokemon adventure was on hold. Almost 10 years after my initial introduction to the series, Pokemon released a new mobile game along with Niantic. This game, as we all know, is Pokemon Go. Taking the world by storm and causing multiple motor vehicle accidents, this game had everybody and their mother outside for once. Every gamer actually went out to touch grass for this. To say the Pokemon craze was back is an understatement, and I wasn't going to be the one missing out on it. Completely off the cuff, one of my least favorite things about doing this video so far is hiding from people that I may or may not know. If you can't tell, I wasn't very popular in high school. So when I go to these public places where I know some of them still are and they're walking around, or I see a car drive by, I kind of take cover, you know. There are kids scaling one of the goalposts back here right now, and then I think there's a couple that I graduated with that just walked by, and I wanted to run back here before they noticed me. I'm a really weird dude, I'm sorry. That would change later in the year. I was sitting in study hall with my friend Jake from earlier. I was doing homework or something, probably just staring out the window, not really paying attention when I heard a familiar tune, but kind of updated or modernized. When I looked up, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Jake was holding a 3DS in a battle with a wild Pokemon, playing Omega Ruby. When he saw my interest in the game, he handed me the console, urging me to play. I was hesitant, I won't lie. DSs were for children, I thought, and so was Pokemon, but he pretty much forced the thing into my hands, so who am I to say no? All at once, I felt everything I had forgotten come back. It truly was like I never left, and I was in for a special treat when I hit the Mega Evolution button at the bottom of the screen. So many years had passed, and yet somehow, in a full circle type thing, I ended up on the newest version of the same game that started it all for me. Almost as if the game had grown up for me. I realized that it didn't matter anymore what people thought of the game. It only mattered what it meant to me. That weekend, I went out and bought a 3DS and a copy of Alpha Sapphire with my limited 16-year-old funds. I didn't care. It was a worthwhile investment. I had one of the most memorable, most exciting, and most addicting adventures on that game. Shiny hunting became a big hobby of mine. Battling my friends with my story team became something to brag about in school, and my 3DS became an essential daily item for me. I didn't care what people thought about me carrying it around. I was just happy to find the series I grew up with was still just as good as I remember it. Also, it helped when I didn't have anything to do at study hall. The years following 2016 were probably some of the most challenging in my entire life. You know, grappling with adulthood, graduating from high school, leaving all my friends behind. It was a stressful time, and growing up and realizing that I'm getting older has also been very stressful. I mean, this whole video has essentially just been me, you know, reliving the glory days through rose-tinted glasses, but through all the ups and downs and everything that's changed and everything that hasn't changed, the one thing that I can say has remained consistent through all of those years is my ability to play Pokemon. It's been 20 years I've been playing this series in some capacity. 20 years I've enjoyed the highs and lows that come with it. The thrill of new games and in-person events, the friends I make, and the excitement for journeys I have yet to even embark on. Come to think of it, Pokemon has kind of taken me farther and wider than I have ever gone before. I've traveled to New York City for the Nintendo Center and Pokemon Go community days. I connect with people online who play the games and learn their stories with Pokemon. A couple of years ago, I even traveled to Ohio for the North American Championship, having arguably one of the best trips of my life. The game has a journey, sure, but the series can set you on a real-life journey. How and when you embark on it is up to you. Since I've restarted my journey, I've been making sure to enjoy every bit of it. Next year, I'm really hoping that I can continue my journey by traveling across the United States to attend the World Championships with my buddy Nate and my friend Connor. And while I wait for all of those trips to be had in the near future, hopefully in the near future, I think for now, I'll just enjoy my own little slice of Pallet Town. Just kick back and relax and wait for the next big journey.